Okay, it is Wednesday night, the 25th of February, and I've decided I'm going to go ahead and push on a little bit, just JIC, to get myself a little more leverage for the next night out, which I hopefully will be tomorrow night, Thursday night on the 26th. What we're beginning here is the NGC2100 to potentially the 2199 series, but it could only go as far as 50 depending upon how many studies fall north of 30 degrees southern declination and south of 45 degrees northern. NGC2106 is a galaxy in Lepus. I'm going to push it up to optimal magnification, center it in the screen. Magnitude 12.1, 2.7 by 1.4 arc minute, a barred spiral of the lenticular class, 83 million light years distant, puts this at about 80,000 light years in diameter. RA is 55046 with a declination of minus 21 degrees 34 minutes and 2 seconds. NGC 2112 is an identifiable open cluster in Orion, magnitude 9.1. 11 arc minutes in size, some 50 stars, the brightest of which are magnitude 10, which is quite bright, so it's probably this one right here in terms of a delta. RA, because typically there are about 3 magnitudes, the brightest stars, over the cluster as a whole. It's a class 2-3, so fairly condensed, but that number 3 at the end means they're very disparate in magnitude. 3,000 light years distant, RA 55345 with a declination of plus 24 minutes and 36 seconds. Here we have a sweet little open cluster in Gemini, our first twins study in the calendar that I recall. It's magnitude 6.7, 40 stars, brightest is magnitude 7.4. Once again, a very bright, probably progenitor star dominating the view. It's a class 3. Seems fairly condensed to me, however. 7,200 light years distant, and it's quite disparate. That's the numeric 3 as opposed to Roman numeral. RA is 60106. Yes, we've entered the 6 hour, 1/4 of the way through the catalog. Declination of plus 23 degrees, 19 minutes, and 18 seconds. Let's go for that 105x view and head out. NGC 2139 is another galaxy in Lepus, but much more obvious. In fact, it almost looks like it has an annulus. It's magnitude 11.6. Spiral with a bar, lowercase c, 2.9 by 2 arc minutes. Now that's an appropriate size for almost 12th magnitude. Slightly brighter than 12th magnitude galaxy, 82 million light years distant. Means it's probably about 80,000 light years in diameter. RA is 6 hours, 1 minute, and 8 seconds with a declination of minus 23 degrees and 40 minutes and 22 seconds. Backing back out to the optimal magnification for view and heading off. Okay, NGC 2141 is this very faint but fairly condensed open cluster in Orion. Collectively, the stars are magnitude 9.4. It's 10 arc minutes in size. It says 10 stars, but I'm seeing far more than that in the background. The brightest stars are magnitude 13.3. It's a class 2-3, so it's fairly condensed with disparate magnitudes. I can believe that. 13,100 light years distant. RA is 6 hours, 2 minutes, 55 seconds with a declination of plus 10 degrees, 26 minutes, and 48 seconds. NGC 2149 is a nebula in Monoceros. I'm seeing a little nebulosity around this star. It's 2 by 1.3 arc minute. Well, yeah, that's probably it right there. No, very likely it. It's a reflective type, 1,400 light years distant. They're not going to get it. The universe isn't going to get a lot of stars out of that nebulosity. Right ascension is 6 hours, 3 minutes, and 30 seconds with a declination of minus 9 degrees, 43 minutes, and 50 seconds. Pushing it up to our optimal view and saying hail and farewell. Wow, it sure is nice that this open cluster is present here, because otherwise we might mistake it for that one. This one here is very sweet sprinkling of stars. NGC2100-2199, an open cluster in Gemini the Twins, magnitude 8.6, a mere 5 arc-minutes in size. The brightest stars are magnitude 12.4. It's a class 2-3, which means fairly condensed, but stars of various magnitude. 16,500 light-years distant. Right ascension is 6 hours, 7 minutes, 25 seconds, with a declination of plus 24:05:48. Centering it up and getting that really gorgeous sprinkling of stars view. Will those controls please leave the screen? There we go. Fade out. NGC 2158. Okay, you get to use some dimensionality on these two open clusters. This one's closer, this one's further, this one's further, this one's closer. This one's purely an NGC, this one is Messier class. And what Messier is it? Messier 35. Let's see if we can get them both on the field. There's a nice view. It's an open cluster in Gemini. Messier 35 is collective magnitude 5.1, 28 arc-minutes in size, 200 stars, the brightest of which are magnitude 8.2, following the +3 rule for fairly well-populated open clusters. It's a class 3-2, so it's not that condensed, but the stars are of similar magnitude. 2,900 light-years distant. RA is 6 hours, 9 minutes, and 0 seconds, with a declination of plus 24 degrees, 21 minutes, and 0 seconds. NGC 2170 is like other nebulosities we've caught this evening. Very bright progenitor star surrounded by some nebulosity, which will set off a chain reaction resulting in maybe a dozen other star formations in this particular birth womb. It's a nebulan monoceros, 2x2 arc-minute reflective type, 2,500 light-years distant. RA is 6 hours, 7 minutes, 31 seconds, with a declination of -6 degrees, 23 minutes, 57 seconds. NGC 2174 is a nebula. Ooh, we are not seeing moonshine here. This is emissive nebulosity with some dark banding passing through it, some bright regions. Very nice. This is an open cluster system that is now well under its way to converting all of its cold, dark matter into stars, planets, asteroids, comets, and meteors. NGC 2174 in Orion's 40x30 arc-minutes, emissive type, 6,400 light-years distant. RA is 6 hours, 9 minutes, 23 seconds, with a declination of plus 20 degrees, 39 minutes, and 34 seconds. NGC 2179 looks like it's a galaxy located somewhere in the field. There's actually a pair of them there. Galaxies often come in groups. They are rarely solitary, and they do like the confreres. Galaxy in Lepus, magnitude 12.3, 2x1.4 arc-minute, 127 million light-years distant, means it's about 80,000 light-years in diameter. RA is 6:08:02 with a declination of -21 degrees, 44 minutes, and 48 seconds, pushing it up to that 105x view and heading out. NGC 2186 is a quite distinct open cluster in Orion, magnitude 8.7, 4 arc-minutes in size, 30 stars, brightest of magnitude 9.8. It's a class 2-2, middling condensation and middling distribution of magnitudes, 8,800 light-years distant. RA 6:12:07, declination plus 5 degrees, 27 minutes, 30 seconds. Well, another beautiful sprinkling of stars. This one, of course, is, like many of the others, in Orion. Open cluster, magnitude 8.5 collectively, 10 arc-minutes in size, some 80 stars. This is our 75x view, the brightest of which are magnitude 12.1. So the delta is about almost 4 magnitudes. Class 3, 1. So dispersed, relatively the same magnitude, doesn't, maybe. 12,300 light years distant. RA is 6 hours, 13:45 with a declination of plus 12 degrees, 48 minutes, and 24 seconds. Nice view. We just made the leap to Lepus for a galaxy NGC2100-2199, quite apparent in the field with some neighbors. Magnitude 11, 2.8 by 2.2 arc minutes, spiral with a lowercase a, so fairly mature spiral, 104 million light years distant, so it's going to be somewhere around 90,000 light years in diameter, about the size of our own Milky Way. We're at RA 61209 with a declination of minus 21 degrees, 48 minutes, and 23 seconds. 150, 105. Well, that is the last in the series, and then we're going to go have another look at a triplicity of studies that were in the series. One of my favorite images in the night sky other than the Great Nebula in Orion. Okay, here we have a 5-second exposure, roughly the equivalent of a 3-foot telescope of the Flame Nebula. I believe this is NGC 2024, 2023, and the horse head in the correct position to appear as though it's a horse head. Since we have a little more time, I'm going to go ahead and increase the exposure. Here's our first stack of a 30-second exposure of the Flame, Horsehead, and reflective nebulosity NGC 2023 near Alnitak in the belt of Orion. Let's give it a few more stacks.